Welcome to the GCN Tech Clinic, where we aim to answer your bike and tech-related questions. As ever, you can submit your questions down below in the comments section using the hashtag askgcntech, and we'll do our best to answer as many of them as possible within the allotted time.
Right, let's not waste any time. Ollie Booth first. Will a wider inner rim width make the tyre measure wider? Yes, it will. Wider the inner rim width is for the same tyre width, it's going to make it balloon up a little bit more and into like a U shape of the tyre rather than like a light bulb shape.
Yep.
Also negatively impact the comfort you get.
Yep.
But we'll make it faster.
That's true. Next question is from Joe Doc, who said, if you have a tubeless tyre and get a puncture, is plugging the puncture a good long-term fix, or should you be doing something else, or maybe get a new tyre? Right, so... Yes, a plug can be a long-term fix.
Yeah.
But the key thing is what kind of plugs you use. So their standard kind of plugs work a lot better on mountain bike tyres and wide gravel tyres because the pressures are lower. Road tyres, it becomes a bit more difficult. You need better plugs. And so, well, the ones that we've used, and we're not like sponsored by them, we've just found them to be the best plugs, are like the Dynaplug style things.
A bit more effective.
Yeah, they have like a metal head, and then they go in and then they have like this tail that splays out and bonds into the tyre when mixed with some sealant. And they're really effective. I've actually got a tyre which punctured when I was out in Arizona, when we were filming a load of the videos out there that you may have seen on the channel. And I plugged it with a Dynaplug. It was a new tyre when I went out in Arizona. It got me home, but also I've ridden since then. It's still in there.
I left one in a gravel bike tyre for about 6 months throughout the whole summer. Just forgot it was in there.
And this is the same on cars. So if you have like an expensive car tyre, you don't want to have to buy a new tyre if you just get a little hole in it, a little nail in it or something. And the car tyres get plugged. And then they're good to go and they last the length of the tyre. So
you do always have the option of, if you don't want the plug in there, taking it out and like patching the inside of the tyre up from the inside.
Yeah.
That's always an option as well. Think of like the reverse process of how you patch in a tube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Wout DW4214 next. Hi GCN, my bike was delivered with a 10 to 30 12-speed SRAM Force cassette, used it for a few hundred kilometres, then bought a 10 to 33 cassette to ride the Stelvio, which again used for about 6,000 kilometres that time. They want to install the 1030 cassette on their indoor trainer and keep the 1033 on the rear wheel for occasional use outside. Will this give them problems because of the chain and switching between a more or less used cassette? I don't think that's going to be a problem, provided the chain isn't too worn and the cassette hasn't got really worn for some obscure reason. Judging by those numbers, no stress whatsoever. Yeah, so I mean,
what I actually do is have I have a Shimano drivetrain on my thing, but like I go 1130 is the cassette that I've got on the indoor trainer, direct drive. But on my bikes, I tend to run the 1134. And swapping between the two, like I just chuck the bike on the indoor trainer and it works.
It works. Yeah. No stress. Okay, next question. What we got?
I don't really like loud free hums. I think they mean Freehubs.
Yeah.
Can I make mine quieter with grease without ruining the efficiency?
Well, it's not really going to ruin the efficiency, whatever lubricant is in there, because it's only when you're freewheeling that it's actually not engaged, so it's not really changing a vast amount. You can quieten a Freehub down by putting slightly thicker grease or oil inside it, but if you deviate too far from what's intended to be in there, it could make the mechanism sticky inside and maybe not work correctly.
I did actually see a Freehub at Eurobike, which was designed to be like a new mechanism, and it was a really high quality machined CNC Freehub, but it was designed to be quiet.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Some people hate loud Freehubs, don't they?
Lavelle was what it was.
Okay, well, there you go. So yeah, you can make it quieter. Just be mindful on avoiding sticking like super thick marine grease in, because your Freehub just won't work properly.
Yeah. Can make them drag as well.
Yeah. Jari1973 next. Why has it never been tested to add paraffin oil to paraffin wax in a ratio of 1:3 or 1:2? Hot wax chain does not rust. Question. Josh actually mentioned about this. If you wanted to make the chain wax a little bit like stickier and a bit softer when it's in its liquid state, he said you could add 1 or 2 drops of the Silka synthetic oil into it, and it would help loosen it up so it didn't set quite as hard. So I think it has been tested, but I haven't seen any like specific results for that. But that is a way of making the wax a little bit softer.
Yeah, I think the big problem is it's that trade-off. As soon as you start making something
Sticky.
more lubricious.
Oh, good word.
Well, no, increasing or decreasing the viscosity.
Yeah.
So it's more liquid on the chain, and you start risking making it more sticky, so the dirt is going to stick to it, and then that's going to ruin the whole thing.
Yeah, you're sort of counteracting the advantages of it in the first place. Yeah, I guess that. So yeah, it is an option if you want to sort of try that, but yeah, you need to be mindful you're going to start to deviate from some of the advantages that the wax offers.
Yeah.
Cool.
I would just say if rust is a big problem with your waxed chains, which it can be if you're riding in wet environments and damp environments a lot of the time, then yeah, it's worth having a look at just using a really good quality wet lube.
Yeah, easy. Who got next?
Joe Kaiser 2258. An unrelated question.
Okay.
But quite annoying nonetheless. What's it unrelated to? So, I don't know. Anyway.
Hopefully it's about bikes still.
How to stop a saddle from squeaking. It appears to be generated internally from the friction between material layers within the saddle. It's a nice physique track saddle. Thanks.
And first thing I want to say is if the internal layers of the saddle are moving, that is a problem with the saddle, because normally it's all stuck and bonded together so that it can't ever move.
Yeah. Well, Connor told me an interesting thing, which I didn't realise before, but he was going on about how saddles break, like over time, but you don't necessarily realise they've...
Oh, they're like sag in the middle, they lose their strength.
And they lose their... Because they, you know...
I think it's one of the first...
More of a problem for bigger riders, like Connor, I guess.
I think it's also a regular thing bike fitters will see, is people just assume that their 10-year-old saddle is still okay, and then when you sit on it, it bows all down and you've lost half of the strength of it.
Yeah, so maybe your saddle is a bit worn out and you just need a new one.
Also, if you've got it squeaking, sometimes I've had saddles in the past where it's actually a little bit of movement between the base and a metal rail, and the base is pivoting on the rail, so you could just try dropping a little bit of oil into those contact points.
I think a top tip, if you want to buy a saddle and you want to save some money, though, is or have a look online on like people selling used ones. The reason being is because and what you want to look for is when people buy a new bike, it often comes with a saddle and they don't want it and they get rid of it because they know the saddle that they want and what is the thing that and saddles are so personal. So saddles are one of the best things, you know. Obviously, you don't buy one that's like all saggy and broken and used and like 1,000 million miles on it. But you know what I mean? Look for one of those ones where it's someone who's just got a new bike and it's clearly a new saddle and they've just taken it off because they know they don't like it.
I like that. Good advice. Right, final question for this week is from JUSKA. Do negative temperatures, as in -1 or more degrees Celsius, negatively impact the effectiveness of wax as a chain lubricant? I don't know the answer to this, but I'm going to say yes, I think it does.
No, it does, yeah.
Yeah.
Wax is an amorphous solid, right? But like, as its characteristics change with respect to temperature, as its viscosity changes, right?
Well, clearly, because if you warm it up, it goes from solid to a liquid, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be more free-flowing the warmer it gets.
Yeah.
And it's going to get more...
Rigid.
It's like so think of it like, you've ever seen a, like, you know, sort of chemistry experiment where they get something like a flour or some rubber and they put it in liquid nitrogen and then they tap it with a hammer and it shatters like glass.
Is that what your chain would do?
It's a bit like that. So like the wax becomes harder and more brittle.
So it's less effective
when it's colder.
Acting as a lubricant, I guess.
Yeah. It has like a temperature range in which it will be much better.
Okay, so in that instance, if someone's regularly riding like freezing cold conditions, maybe that's not the best option. You might be better for an oil-based lubricant. Yeah, all right. And there you go. That's this week's Tech Clinic done, dusted. Keep your questions in the comment section down below and we'll get to them in the coming weeks. Right out of here. See you later.
Bye.